Peace and blessings. My name is Thomas Lee Trent. Uh, Currently incarcerated at the New York State Correctional Facility. This is a follow-up to continuation to illegal and wrongful convictions. My actual case, which I was coerced into a plead guilty to 4 counts, 2 counts of second-degree murder. Um, in the year 2000 in New York State, Long Island, Suffolk County. So prior to my last illegalities and wrongful convictions podcast recording, I discovered that there's an actual judge named Judge Stuart Namm, Stuartnamm, who wrote a book and exposed all the corruption in New York State, which is called A Whistleblower's Lament, The Perverted Pursuit of Justice in the State of New York and Suffolk County, Long Island. This judge exposed names, district attorneys, judges, homicide detectives, lawyers in the state of New York, Long Island, Suffolk County, who made an indictment purging defendants into a guilty plea, malicious prosecution, wrongful theory, withholding evidence, and corruption, and so forth. I just so happen to fit this criteria. There's been a lot of people who had the allegations of misconduct with whether judges, district attorneys, assistant district attorneys on their cases, and right along with attorneys. So with mine, on my sentencing minutes, at the time of the offense, I couldn't read, write, or spell. I actually was coerced into signing off on a statement that I did not write, that homicide detectives did write, to free my brother, who they had at the time held up in homicide precinct. At the same time, just for them to turn around and lock him up about maybe 4 or 5 months later, because I wouldn't plead guilty to anything, because I'm actually fighting my actual case of what I was locked up for. And they charged me with accessory of murder. So contrary to them locking my brother up and charging with an accessory of murder, they actually gave my brother the same court-appointed attorney 2 times. And they was trying to use him to go against me. And they pretty much told my brother that if I didn't plead guilty to those charges, they wanted him to go to trial when I go to trial and get on the stand to testify against me. That's the only way they was letting him go home. So I was coerced to plead guilty to let my brother go because he had nothing to do with my actual case. And that became a conflict of interest when having the same court-appointed 18B attorney for not only me, but also my brother, who they made my co-defendant after the fact. Years later, after discovering some documents in my paperwork, it was discovered that my actual district attorney was James M. Catterson Jr., and my assistant district attorney was Janet Albertson, ESQ. The original lawyer was Henry O'Brien, and I fired him, and they gave me Harvey Arnold, who is still alive and owns his own law firm to this day. Those were the same 2 attorneys that Jerome Trent, my brother, they gave to him, which the conflict of interest came in that. Contrary to that, I'm just now discovering a case with Sean Lawrence versus Suffolk County, where the district attorney Thomas Spoda was released from federal custody on ankle bracelet, who, right along with Spoda and another district attorney, exposed Janet Albertson of misconduct. So it states right here on People versus Sean Lawrence, give you the case site number, just 1 second. So it's Sean Lawrence versus Suffolk County, 2022, Westlaw 855380. And they got Thomas Spoda and a district attorney Constantine. So it states here, presumptively, Albertson's conduct in various cases came up during the conversation and recommendation, though no such proffer has been made by the county. Those prosecutions would appear only be essential to the personnel decision and insufficient to transform the entire discussion into one of anticipation of litigation. In fact, it appears that the conversation and recommendation about whether to remove Albertson would have taken place regardless of whether Lawrence or anyone else sued the DA's office. So this Janet Albertson, who was chief of homicide at this time, was the ADA on my actual case. So I reached out to Conviction Integrity Bureau Case Review Committee, because anytime there's any misconduct with any law enforcement on your actual case, then they must review everyone's case that those law enforcement were on. I filed a 440.47 Domestic Violence Survivors Justice Act application into Suffolk County Courts in July of 2021 and got accepted, approved, signed, counsel, granted to submit a motion into the courts for resentencing under the Domestic Violence Survivors Justice Act, which they signed the attorney at that time. That attorney was on that case for almost 3 years, and they jumped shift and went to become a judge without finishing that motion into the courts, which violated my due process rights. I was assigned another attorney last year, Valentine's Day, G. Maggie Cahill, which I had her for a whole year until I asked her to remove herself from the case also, because she was doing the same thing, dragging time. So now there's another attorney on the case. But that's just for the resentencing. They don't want to do a case review, post-conviction motion. Once I expose all the corruption and everything, I'm pretty much pointing out how they're part of the same circle. So just to make a long story short, I also have some documents with my plea minutes who have Thomas J. Spoder III as my district attorney, which the new lawyer that I have now is telling me that there was a clerical error and then putting Thomas Spoder as the district attorney of my case, which Spoder was not my district attorney on my case, because Spoder didn't come into office as district attorney until November of 2001, when I pled guilty July 11th of 2001. However, I also explained that this is a clerical error. If that is what he called it, cool. But it still doesn't stop the fact of the matter that Thomas Spoder came out of the feds and exposed the corruption and misconduct with Janet Albertson, who was chief of homicide at the time of 2022 of March, who was the same assistant district attorney on my case and also inside my plea minutes and sentencing minutes. I need help from the communities, also the district attorney's office, the case review committee, review my case, and also be aware that the governor, Kathy Hochul, is aware of this, and also William Fitzpatrick and the Clemency Bureau Department. Thank you.